Everyone, welcome to New Moon in Taurus 4/22/2020 Earth Day Dragon Invocation. So excited to be here. You guys know how much I love my 4s and my 8s, or my 7s, just numbers. But I came on live and did a 444 activation for y'all back on April 4th. And the fact that we have a second day this year that adds up to look like 444 if you break them down just is continuing to emphasize, hey Chase, emphasize the fact that we are in a whole year of the Emperor. And Aries is the first of the zodiac year, so really for many of us who are very astrological, even though, January came and we had our New Year's resolutions, a lot of us were still dealing with a lot of processing and a lot of getting through some shit between January and the beginning of April, or even the middle of April, because Aries is all about that fiery energy and burning up the low frequencies and getting rid of all the things that are really just that you thought maybe you could keep around in January, by April, you're like, I still haven't used that. And so you get rid of it, right? Because that's what spring cleaning is all about, and cleaning out the garden beds and doing all of that. Sorry, I gotta get my... So, Earth Day, today is the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, and that is why I'm so excited that the dragon that we're going to work with today is the golden Atlantean dragon. So this dragon is a beautiful, beautiful dragon who is a 5th dimensional dragon, and again, as always, this is from the Diane Cooper Dragon Oracle deck. And you can see it says, helps you remember the wisdom of Golden Atlantis, awaken, bring back your knowledge, gifts, and talents, reclaim your mastery. And what I love about this image is that the crystal is outside of the dragon, and he's looking back at it, right? And that third eye is all lit up and has this jewel in it that looks like it's even on fire. So a lot of psychic abilities have been being awoken. A lot of people coming into my sphere asking me about dreams. I had a whole bunch of people come and join my group this last week just so they could join in on the Dream State Marketing Masterclass that I did inside of my group. All of my masterclasses and all those things are going to be occurring inside of my group for the remainder of 2020 because I'm trying to grow that community so much. So if you're interested in any of those things that you see me talking about outside of that, you're going to definitely want to be in the Fearlessly Authentic Leaders group. So I will put that link right there. So this dragon, I love that he's looking back because Earth Day really is the culmination of what happened after we went to the moon. So we went to the moon in 1969, and for the first time ever, people, they had gone and orbited around the Earth, but it's still really big, right? And you don't have a good idea when you're that close to the Earth, how the Earth still seems massive, and the Earth still kind of seems like the center of the universe, especially because you're now orbiting in. But once they went, and Neil Armstrong and everyone else, they actually did, I think there was a total of 3 missions to the moon, 3 or 4. And they had gone, and for the first time, they stood on a distant planet, yes, it's our moon, and looked back. And we were just this dot, this marble in space, inside the void of space. Venus is still so far away that it looks like a star. Mars is still so far away that it looks like a star. All of the other planets look the same as they do from Earth, pretty much. But for the first time ever, we turned around. I just saw 444 on my phone. Yeah, that's so good. Welcome, Marlene. Seems like you're where you're supposed to be, eh? So for the first time, Earth Day, really 1970 to 1973, that's when the EPA was formed, when the oceanics, I can never remember, but we finally, for the first time, we started coming together as, a spec like Horton. Okay, if you guys don't know, I have a special love for Horton Hears a Who. We are here. And Chase is always there with me for those. But yeah, just like a tiny little speck, like we are here, we are here, we are here, but no one can hear us in the void of space. Or at least that's what we think. That's what so many, like 90% of humans are thinking that. But why did the golden dragon from Atlantis appear? Well, Atlantis existed on Earth when we still were a part of the intergalactic community. So when we were still connecting to Syrian Star Nation and to the Octurians and to the Lyra Star Nation, or Lyrans, if you've experienced those intergalactic beings. If you've ever been visited by someone that you're like, you're otherworldly, even if it's like an angel, like you're really connected to Archangel Metatron or Raphael or Gabriel or any of them, and you feel like you're being connected to a higher frequency. The Atlanteans had that already. Like they would travel to Mars. There were the Martians. Like Mars was actually doing its own thing as well. All of this comes from the work of Edward Casey. So if you're interested in that, I will type that right here. Edward Casey, Atlantis. So anything about, whoa, that's funny. Oh, Tracy, you probably saw so the orange and gold Octurian dragons are around a lot. Let me just explain this. If you guys are seeing orange gold dragons, they're from Arcturus. Arcturus, the best way to describe Octurians and their dragon form, again, I witness like all beings from all star nations in dragon form more than I see them in other forms. So if I'm in a meditation and someone's describing an Octurian, I don't tend to see anything except for an orange and gold dragon from Arcturus, but that doesn't mean that other people don't have different descriptions. So just in general, if you hear someone talk about Arcturus, they're like the bouncers of the universe. They're the ones that pretty much make sure that you're staying in your designated section of your planet's ascension process, essentially. And as we have risen in frequency, they were one of the first star nations that we really started connecting with, because they kind of get you prepped and like ready and make sure that everything's cleaned up and all of the bad guys can't get into the club of the intergalactic community. So really everything that we're seeing with COVID-19 and the like extreme amount of totalitarianism that's coming around, and all of this, like all of our freedoms being, we have to go, it's just like an archer, right? Like that's why I love Sagittarius, people who are Sagittarius, because they got that fire like Leo, but they also have that like moment. Us Leos, we like to just like go forward, but Sagittarius is the archer, right? So they have that moment of pullback and then zoom, and so they're really awesome, like quantum flyers that way. But that's what I kind of think about with what we're going through right now. Back in January, there was a lunar eclipse, and the lunar eclipse actually destroyed the Armageddon timeline. So everything that was running on Earth that was supposed to lead us to Armageddon and like the end of the world and the actual like rapture, all the shit that you read about in Genesis, in Revelations, that was still all in play when the lunar eclipse happened. So because there was enough people aware of it happening, because it was on that level of consciousness and was real enough to people, it couldn't just disappear. It couldn't be like the Mandela effect that so many of us have experienced. What instead happened is that everything got like downgraded from Armageddon to like still gonna suck. I'm in a tough loving mother kind of mood today, y'all. Like it's Earth Day and I'm feeling it. I'm feeling that fire, which is again the Emperor. The Emperor is like like he's the daddy, right? He's the one who's laying down the law, who's providing. And what happens on the negative side of that? Like think about all the dads right now that are stuck at home, that are used to working 30 or like 40, 50, 60, 80-hour work weeks, and now they're at home all the time still trying to get all that work done. Like there is a lot of intense Emperor energy going on in the negative. And a lot of women are trying to have to like figure out their roles. Like, hey, you come into my you're coming into my space. Like, this is my area. This is my domain. This is my work. And you're trying to mess with it. So how do we find that new balance, which is what I love about this Earth Day being at like the 50th anniversary. It's kind of reminding me of like a 50-year-old couple, and like some people make it to 50. A lot of people don't, right? It's not super common to celebrate a 50th wedding anniversary. And because of that, it's again that moment to kind of look back and be like, okay, well, what can we learn from the last 50 years, right? This emperor, this daddy coming in and being like, how can I provide and protect the earth after I've had 50 years? And Mother Nature has put us all in a fucking timeout for the last month. So today with the golden Atlantean dragons, they're really coming out to say like, okay, have you done enough of your inner work to now go to the next level? Are you ready to have more experiences like Tracy's having, talking to the Octorians, or talking to the gold and green dragons from Sirius, or talking to the blue dragons from the Pleiades, or, right? So every star nation, there's also dragons associated with every star nation. There's also the violet flame dragon. So if you've been feeling like 3D just is so hard for you to ground back into, it's because you need to start grounding into 5D consciousness. It's again, we're in this bow sort of motion right now where, yeah, it looks scary and weird and freaky, but at least like it's really not the end of the world. If anything, the world is continuing to shift because we're having to play this mental game. Thoughts are things. The only thing that's happening is the way that your mind is perceiving what's going on. It's the reason why you're getting so upset that other people aren't seeing it the way that you are, because no one's actually able to perceive the world through your eyes at all. They will never have your life experiences. They can never understand you fully. That's why you need to know, love, and accept yourself fully so that what's going on out there actually has no effect on you. My business has been booming. My clients' businesses have been booming. I've had more engagement. Like literally my life is going up, 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 up. And I'm shedding a bunch of stuff. You're seeing all this stuff about transformation and butterflies because I'm going through this shit, and I will soon be able to talk to you guys about that. But right now I have to honor my process. And it's just like that seed, like the tulip I was talking about on 420. There's so much time that the tulip bulb is just underground and is just sitting there. And even when it like first pokes up, it's just kind of there. And yeah, then at the very end, like the leaves come, the stem comes, the bloom's there. But we were planting back in October. So if you're just barely seeing some growth from things that you started back in October, we were still in the Armageddon timeline, or really more in this like every day was almost like this, which one are we on? And the lunar eclipse happens, and we had reached critical mass. Enough people on the planet were actually ready to move forward with ascension, to move Gaia into fifth dimension with her whole being and all of her populace on the surface. We don't have to go hide in crystal caves like they had to on Karnak or any of those things. We're not going to lose 3/4 of our population before we can ascend. Enough people on the planet right now. We're at a level that this ascension into fifth dimensional physically living in the fifth dimension, it's going to be nuts and crazy and so fun. Yeah, seeing it, right? We can see it, and we can see how we come together again. I want to bring back Earth Day for the first time. Like, yeah, we had the UN, but the UN was created out of a crisis of a world war where we blew up each other, right? And the only reason why America had such a golden age after World War II was because we were the only country of any caliber that wasn't totally bombed to shit. So anyone who tries to tell you that they're going to recreate the economy of the 50s and 60s in America are batshit crazy, because you can never create that perfect cacophony of like soup for it to work out that way again. Like, you can't make America great again like that. You can make it great a different way, but it's not going to be, again, like it's going to be different. And for me, the UN doesn't really have any power. It's pretty fucking corrupt, actually. There's a great documentary. I have all these comments for you guys today. It's called You and Me documentary. It's kind of old at this point. It's probably like 10 years old or a little bit older, but like really a lot, hasn't really changed if you do research and see how the UN actually operates and what its pretty much lack of power is. Or even the WHO, like they're like the few organizations that we think of as like global organizations actually don't have any pull or weight, obviously, because the WHO had like notified Donald Trump back in fucking February, but he was also in the middle of an impeachment trial that was kind of taking up all of his time. Right? I need you to shut that door. I really need you to shut that door. Hold, please. I didn't lock my door. So I have a sign on my door that's like a green sign for you can come in and a red sign for you can't come in. But if I don't lock my door, it doesn't matter what color the sign is. So 50 years ago, when we established Earth Day, it was to really start this bringing together. But the bringing together was really a bringing to like back to this. And this is, I know I just said you can't do again, but it's not again. We learned a whole lot of things from Atlantis and Lemuria. We learned a whole lot of things from the other star systems that are planets in different star nations that have been doing things. We've learned who we are as a race as well. Again, there could have been a totally different situation had we not all started, having our crystals and doing all of this inner work and tapping into the fifth dimensional light grid and doing all this inner work that so many of us have done. It wouldn't have allowed for us to have an ascension timeline. We would have just gone down the Armageddon timeline and our planet would eventually just get eaten up by the sun instead of being able to ascend into a higher dimensional frequency where that won't happen. But there is so much to do between here and there. So I agree, Rochelle, that you can see it. But what I'm here, the reason why I love and am so passionate about teaching you guys about dragons and also about civics and also about leadership, whether that's the PTA, the city council, the Senate, the presidency, or parliament, just like all over the world. There are elected offices all over the world. So I have clients all over the world. There are industry leaders all over the world, is because we are going to need to have people strategically planned. We are in a giant game of risk right now, everyone. Okay. If you can honestly imagine the world, and if you don't know what risk is, like go watch the YouTube 3-minute video on how to play it so you at least have a reference. You don't ever have to play the game. But I will continue until the day I die using that as my analogy because it is the best analogy that I have. We are playing a giant game of risk against the forces that have had control of this planet for the last 5,000 years, who have tried to put a death grip on it for the last 120 years, really starting around like when slavery ended in America is when a lot of other forms of slavery started coming in instead. Corporatism, like income tax wasn't even a thing until 1913. It's actually against the Constitution to charge people income tax. That's why they had to make a constitutional amendment to create income tax. So when you hear any of your libertarian friends talk about taxation as theft, they're not talking about sales tax or things like that. They're talking about income tax and property tax. Okay. So how do you awaken? How do you get to this dragon? If we all understand that this is Earth Day and we're supposed to be coming together in this intergalactic way, what does it mean to have your wisdom from Golden Atlantis? What does it mean to reclaim your mastery and to bring back your knowledge, gifts, and talents? Well, the first thing it takes is you really believing and understanding that time is an illusion, that you are an infinite being, that you are only... your concept of time is the only thing that time is. You only have this present moment. If you start worrying about something that happened last week, you're actually just getting worried about your own memories. And if you start getting anxious about something in the future, then you're just getting anxious about your own imagination. Neither of those things actually exist. The only thing that exists right here in this moment is whatever room you're in and the sound of my voice coming through whatever device it is that you have. Like, it's very much that Schrodinger's cat, like, does your husband exist if you're not looking at him? And you really get into this sense of like non-linear time, just you're just in the current action, and you're just in the current action. And that starts leaving all this extra room when you're no longer anxious or worried or any of that stuff. All of a sudden your brain has all this extra space to then start think, I have all these memories from, or I've always been connected to this certain time period. Like, why is it that I've always loved Marie Antoinette? Why have I always loved the French courtesans? Like, what is it about Moulin Rouge? And you start playing around with the idea that maybe you were a courtesan, maybe you were one of the opera singers, and you're starting to connect to previous timelines, previous lives. You can also connect to parallel lives where you're in the middle of the kitchen. The next thing you know, you're in the throngs of a lover, and you're like back in the kitchen, and you're like, the fuck just happened? You're starting to open that pathway of time where you no longer are seeing things linearly, and you're just in the present moment. And because of that, you can then say, you know what? I actually really want to learn how to be, like, I want to be psychic. I want to be able to journal out everything that I need to do and be able to see it clearly. Well, then go back to Atlantis when we were all psychic. Again, he's got his third eye all sorts of lit up right here. And connect to that. That's what we're going to do with this dragon invocation. We're going to allow ourselves to connect to our incarnation in Atlantis. And you might have lived several incarnations on Atlantis. The jury is out on how many years Atlantis was around. Some people say a couple hundred, other people say a few thousand. So you may have lived, like I've lived 80,000 lifetimes on this planet. And yet they try to say that humans, as we know them, are only 10,000 years old, or even 40,000 years old. So you have to, again, time is nonlinear, time doesn't really exist. As you start to trust your own psychic abilities and your own channeling and your own knowing of who you are and your own worthiness, which again, let us, for the people in the back or for those new people who haven't been here before, when I say worthiness, I'm talking about knowing yourself as God in manifestation, not about your $ value. Okay, value and worth are totally different things around here. But if you have a problem with either of them, then we need to talk, because you're living in like prostitute energy and selling your soul for approval and people pleasing. And we're not with that. You need to just create money for yourself. Don't sell your soul. Create leadership so that you can change the world, right? Because money is just a means to an end. Every single highly successful entrepreneur that I know tells me the reason why they started was because of a different, like a bigger cause, where they were just so sick and tired of other people not taking it up that they wanted to really like push the mantle. And yeah, they wanted to have that millionaire, billionaire lifestyle too, but what was driving them wasn't the money. I will tell you right now, and forever, that finance-driven goals are never ever going to play out. And if they do play out, you're going to lose so much more that the money won't feel worth it. But purpose-driven goals turn out so much bigger and so much better. And any financial gain that come from your purpose just feels good. And when you're feeling good about money, then you can make more of it and serve your purpose more, right? So when I tell you that I'm a millionaire mompreneur and that I'm heading towards billionaire status and that I'm creating all this cash so that I can run for president in 4 more years and all these other things, it's not because I want to have all that money and all the luxury. It's because I want to change the world. And as far as I'm concerned, it's time that we have a president in line with the values of what the new Earth system in 5D is going to look like. So there's that. So you remember that you are God. You remember that you are whole. You remember that it's better to be a whole person than a good person. You remember that you are the creator of your destiny, that you are the one creating this ever-present moment, that you get to decide whether you're people-pleasing for your mother, for your child, for your spouse, for your sister, for your uncle, for your doctor. Or are you going to show up to every single one of those events the same person? Because the less fractal you can make your life, as in the more whole you are, I am the same everywhere I go. And not the same as in I'm stuck in my ways, but like if you came to my house to have tea with me, I am still this intense. Okay? If I go to my parents' house for dinner, I'm still this intense. If I am up the street at the city council meeting, I am still this. Like, I do not know anymore. Again, I will emphasize the word anymore, because there were years and years and years that I played the chameleon. And I still know how to be a chameleon and move through the different crowds, working my way through so I can get the information and really start putting my master plan into motion. And yeah, it does make me a little bit of an evil genius. And yes, there is really no difference between a dictator and an amazing guru, except for the actual intention. Besides that, an evil dictator and a highly enlightened guru have to have very, 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 very similar personalities. My intensity is gold. Oh, thank you, Chase. So, and speaking of gold, so this golden Atlantean dragon, one more time, I'm going to show you because we're going to do the invocation now. I promised my husband and kids I'd be fast today. We're going to just sit here. We're really going to help you remember Atlantis. So even though we're here on Earth, celebrating Earth Day, I want to, that was my goal too. Yay. Hi, Erica. That we really, when it was this lunar eclipse. The lunar eclipse, Michelle, was January 12th of this year. Magenta Pixie is a really good channeler who did a really great video on it. I'll go find it and come back and tag it in here later. So, the golden Atlantean dragon. So what I want us to be doing is recognizing that Earth, Gaia, is several billion years old. So Atlantis did exist on the same form in 3D as Gaia. The difference really is this crystal. You guys know how I'm always telling you that we are a singing crystal, that we are the ones who are vibrating our own unique frequency and can connect to any level of frequency within our own imprint. Atlanteans, we knew how to do that. The Atlanteans and the Lemurians knew how to work with crystal magic. They really understood the frequency and how to sing your own song and to be a god in manifestation with form. So that's why they were so highly connected with intergalactic beings as well as inner earth beings. Okay, I will find it, Michelle. I don't want to do it in the middle, but I will. I promise. I will. I'm making a note right now. Magenta Pixie lunar eclipse YouTube. Okay, I got it right here. I'm putting it literally on my computer, so when I get back from my hike, I do that. Okay. Golden Atlantean dragons. So the crystalline energy. So if you have heard of Lemurian crystals, or you're really connected to crystals, like you have a whole crystal collection, so pretty much everyone on the planet right now, and especially if you're listening to this video and you made it all the way through the last 27 minutes of it, I promise you that you were here during the golden age of Atlantis. So let us all take a moment, sit back in our chairs wherever you are, or you can stand up. I would normally be standing up for channeling. Like if you ever do an in-person experience with me, I stand. I still haven't been able to figure out the camera because you guys don't realize what my situation is back here. So I sit, but always, always, always feet planted firmly. So I do yoga feet. I'll put my feet on the ground and then I'll pick up my toes and make sure I'll even put more weight in my feet and then kind of sit back. So I really want my legs engaged even though I'm sitting so that the energy is flowing. And then up on your sit bones and then you're pretty much sitting in a very comfortable yoga pose, like in chair, right? So imagine that you're in chair, but you just happen to have a chair. So you don't need to engage your legs that much. Or again, you're welcome to stand. The reason is when we're running this really high frequency energy, you want it to be able to run through your system, and any heavy toxicities or worries, anxieties, anything you're ready to release, especially because the new moon is today. So any final shedding that you're ready to do before this new moon in Taurus really starts to come into blossom, you're going to feel your feet kind of getting heavier, and you're able to just push all of that into Pachamama, and she just transmutes it instantly. And then there's a point where a lot of people, their feet will get hot. And when that happens, it's because you've now cleared out anything that was blocking you, and you're fully like suction cupped onto the 5D grid. And when that happens, like if you're not used to it, your feet might get really hot. So just like, don't freak out. Your feet aren't on fire, but just be aware that that can happen. There's no victim, so you don't usually hear me tell you worrying things like to stress out. But as a body worker, I feel like it's really important to let you know what sensation I've had multiple people at this point tell me happen. Having your spine really straight is going to help you. You want to really engage like your shoulders. So let's all of us together like roll our shoulders up and then back, allowing those shoulder blades to come together on your back. Heart is like imagining like more like up. So your sternum should be up. So definitely one of those titties out situations, ladies. And then your chin is just like slightly tucked actually, so that you have a nice straight line from the crown of your head straight up down your spine. And then if you're sitting on your sit bones, then your root chakra, your coccyx will be pointed straight downward. So your whole tube, it's not even like a chakra. It's not like individual balls. It's more like a tube, like a chakra tube. She got all the chakras in between. Like I have clients that are working with like 76 chakras at this point. It's pretty insane. I don't go that far. I just stick to the regular like 12 or 13. Okay. So Atlantean dragons, everyone feeling good, everyone connecting. Okay, good. I feel that. Everyone's there. Sweet. So one last time before we close our eyes, I want you all to just look at this dragon here. This golden dragon from Atlantis once again helps you remember that wisdom of golden Atlantis. Awaken, bring back your knowledge, gifts, and talents, and reclaim your mastery of yourself, your mastery of your emotions, your mastery of thoughts are things, instant manifestation, instant psychic abilities, contacting with inner earth beings and intergalactic beings, living from a purpose-driven standpoint, because finances, like there wasn't a monetary system during Atlantis. There was a totally different system. So we are in many ways going back to how Atlantis was by moving forward in our timeline into fifth dimension. And we've just learned all these things in the meantime, right? Okay. So go ahead and take a nice deep breath in, close your eyes. One more time, roll those shoulders back, chin tuck, just nice, solid, connecting your feet to the ground, allowing for anything that's already ready to just like drop off of you, any worries or questions, any of those things, just put them down for now. You can pick them back up later if you want to. And start to connect to the version of your soul, the time in nonlinear time, when you were incarnated as an Atlantean or a Lemurian. They existed simultaneously. When you were connected to all of your psychic gifts, when you had all of your talents and all of your blessings just out, when manifesting was easy, when you lived the highest vibration of your life all day, every day, because you were only concerned about this present moment. You had no anxieties, no worries, really very little concept of linear time, except for the fact that when you're dealing with groups of humans, it's useful to have something like, let's meet at 4:00. Besides that, time was very like, and even then they didn't have 4:00. It was like later, and they just knew because of telekinesis, right? So time does not need to exist. So you can just go back, there we go. So you'll see that Atlantis is like this city of gold and lots of crystals, lots of temples, lots of effigies. You're going to see dragons. I see a couple of you guys are freaking out. So let's like talk about it. Dragons walked around with us like pets, kind of. Our dragon self and our human self were separate in form during the days of Atlantis. So if you notice a dragon near you, it might be your dragon, or if you see someone walking with one, like, don't worry. And we're going to walk forward into the temple, the center temple of Atlantis. I can never remember the name of it, but you'll see the biggest temple. So walk yourself over to the biggest temple. Yeah. And we're going to go inside, and there's this giant, huge crystal, like massive crystal, just in the center of this temple. Like, it's this giant room, essentially, that you walk into in this massive crystal. This crystal is our connection straight up into the higher realms of the angelic realm, of the intergalactic realm, and also down through to the devas and inner earth beings, all the way down. Like, we literally used to be able to talk to Sophia Gaia. Like, we would talk to Mother Earth through this crystal and be able to know what it is that she needed from us, and then also be able to talk to Lady Luna, and to be able to talk to our Martian neighbors and our Venetian neighbors, and it was just such a beautiful, magical time. So start to find yourself, if you can. Some of you might not be ready, and that's okay. Just take it where you are. But some of you are ready to go find a mirror in this room and start to know yourself in this form. Just take a second. Here we go. Some of you, yeah. Oh, I like that. And just go ahead and create an anchor point here for being able to come back during meditation to know yourself more as an Atlantean, as a Lemurian, as a high priestess or priest, to understand your dragon more, to connect to higher frequencies, really create a feeling in your body. So come back just enough that you remember that you do have a physical body in this plane that's hearing me speak, and find a place in your body that you are going to put that anchor to Lemuria and to Atlantis in. There you go. A lot of people are choosing the spleen. That's totally cool. It makes sense. Spleen is where we keep a lot of our worries. So if you just cleared out a lot of worries, then putting that back there is great. That's fine. Just remember where it is, so that when you're meditating, if you feel like a little kick wherever it is, you know, oh, maybe I need to go connect to my Atlantean self to figure out this answer. It's not something I can find right here. Okay, good. Everyone's done that. Oh, guys, you are amazing. You are seriously doing some work right now. I love it. So let us all come back and congregate around the giant crystal, and you're going to see 4 golden Atlantean dragons come in from each of the 4 doors, and they're just going to come in and witness us during the invocation. So for those of you who may not have had an invocation with me before, what happens is that I stop speaking English and I start channeling my soul frequency, which is going to clear, heal, and activate you so that your crystalline DNA can be activated and charged up, so that when our 5th dimensional ascension does occur, your carbon-based DNA can just fly away and it won't be a problem. You will retain your form because your crystalline DNA has been activated. And to be at that level, then there's obviously clearings and healings that happen first. So depending on what level you are, you'll feel something different. It doesn't matter. Everything I do is bespoke. Everything I do is coded with tons and tons of intention and clarity. So this is your chance to just sit here and receive this invocation and this blessing from the golden dragons of Atlantis, from your highest vibrational frequency, and just give this gift to yourself. And anything that is, it feels like, oh, this is really big, you can again push it down through to the earth grid and down into Pachamama, because this is Earth Day. It's also a 444 day. All sorts of intense yummy energy is going to be flowing. So if it gets too much for your physical body, just remember that you can always push anything back down into Mother Earth. Or you can also, I would invite you to try to open higher. So opening up the channel to even higher levels of consciousness, so that you don't ever really feel where the beginning or the end of this energy flow is, because you've just expanded so fully. There, yeah, okay, there we go. There was a few of you that like had put a cap on your crown, and I was like, what's going on? But those are gone now, so perfect. Go ahead, just another nice deep breath, readjust. Make sure your feet are on the floor, spine is straight, and just breathe and receive. Enone veone ameo pachamama Sophia Gaia. One ore ameo togeleo. Ignavio viante le dove ambaregeu avere la deo aviante Andengi udi una mantiki utikiaro o Pachamama. Ongianchi anto e ombarme beno. Om dare tare one ondo te tere ture te om bambe o om dore te om ture na om dare om tutare om nangale de ongo pachamama ongale ala ona mama kocha Ingolo vege ani ongolo to nongi amba be o e o a e o e ane ongo de bare o la de treco treco manga shatani angalo poteyama hino anle ange apatono ameana hale apakala sonovoro amanana Ashikololo e Sofio, e nono Cristo, acena mongote, vivi uru, utiri, ubi ode ama, ubi ode, ami pachamama. O Sofia Cristo, are, o Sofia Gaia Mona, mona da Pachamama, tare tare, tare tare, padme padmana dona. We uchi, we uchi. Go ahead and thank the golden Atlantean dragons. Thank your higher self for bringing you here. And when you are ready, find yourself back in the time and space of April 22nd, 2020 at 4:46 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So wherever Mountain Daylight Time. Don't put you guys a year in the future. It would be bad. Hey, don't eat my shoe. My new dog needs to learn. Don't eat my shoe. Okay, guys, I love you. I hope that was amazing for you as it was for me. I hope that you all have a beautiful day as well. Don't ground. Don't try to go to 3D grounding. Feel free to go out into nature, though. That's why I'm going to take my kids and my dog out on a hike right now and just be out in nature as much as you can. Play in the grass, like literally just go pull weeds if you need to. Wow. Okay. And really just be in this vibration as much as you can. I love you. I hope you all have such an amazing, wonderful day. Drink water, meditate, do your new moon rituals, do all of those things for this new moon in Taurus, and just take care of you. And I love you.